15 years ago, I quit my cushy six-figure corporate job to begin working for profit instead of wages. Despite that decision initially resulting in catastrophic personal financial collapse, the lessons I've learned along the way have allowed me to build an amazing life completely outside of traditional participation in the workforce. This is a transition that millions of people will soon need to make for themselves as advanced AI and robotics rapidly devalue traditional human labor. It leaves a massive, growing population asking the exact same question I've spent the last decade and a half answering for myself. What will we do instead of working? But before we get into all the brilliant mumbo-jumbo I've come up with, I feel like I owe returning viewers an explanation. First of all, thanks so much for clicking into this video. If you're still here, you must feel like I still have something valuable to say. As most of you have seen, in my incredibly successful introduction video, I stood right here and promised you a 52-week public exhibition, a meticulous, structured experiment where I would let artificial intelligence guide this channel, my creative process, and possibly my life. I boldly proclaimed that we are going to use the master's tool to dissect the master's house. Well, you probably saw me struggle my way through trying to pull that off, crash and burn, and fizzle out like a fever dream turned nightmare. Let's just say it wasn't the first time. Now in hindsight, it's so obvious that I was walking straight back into the trap that I escaped 15 years ago. Only this time, I committed myself to a robot boss, and just like before, everything I did just felt wrong. How the hell can I help others become gainfully unemployable by becoming employed myself? So, it's time for a reboot. From this point forward, I'll do my best to share my experience of what it actually takes to reclaim your life from the burden of working for wages and hopefully, God willing, let the machines do the work for you. If you look at the banner of this channel right now, you'll see my bold, uncompromising antidote to the inevitable collapse of human civilization. Tax the robots. That isn't just an edgy political slogan to get clicks, although it's pretty darn good at that too. It's a declaration of a future I fundamentally believe we have to fight for. A future where labor becomes entirely optional, opening the door for every single one of us to reclaim our personal agency and begin working for purpose instead of raw, inhuman productivity. When I launched this project at the start of 2026, I thought allowing artificial intelligence to guide my content, outline my thoughts, and dictate my schedule would be a fascinating, meta-analytical experiment. I figured I could sit back, play the part of the detached observer, and document what happens when a human collaborator yields the steering wheel to an algorithm. By wedging myself into this tech commentary space, I was abandoning my unfair advantage. See, my advantage isn't that I can explain the technical aspects of computer learning or the viability of post-labor economic systems. My advantage is that I know what it feels like to have built a life outside of the workforce for the past 15 years. I know how liberating it is to no longer depend on a failing system to live a satisfying life. By committing to a structured plan, I had given up the greatest achievement in my professional life, the ability to do whatever I want, whenever I want to do it. Seriously, what was I thinking? And this brings me to the crux of the biscuit. The most critical challenge facing humanity during the transition to a post-labor society is the reclamation and maintenance of human agency. Now, agency is sort of a buzzword these days, but let's look at what it actually means. Agency is your capacity to act independently, to make your own free choices, and to steer the ship of your own life based on your internal compass, not the external programming of the social order. Most of us have been indoctrinated from childhood to fit into a specific structure. We went to public schools that were essentially designed to produce reliable workers, people who would listen for the bells, hit the deadlines, pass the exams, and never question authority. If we're able to satisfy the requirements and stay out of trouble, society would certainly reward us with lifelong security and satisfaction. Personally, I've always had a hard time swallowing the idea of trading my life away for a paycheck. We're taught from day one that if you just put your head down and grind, the system will take care of you. But look around. Hard work without leverage is just a treadmill. The people I see who have actually built resilient, enviable lives are the ones who refuse to live the prescribed life promised by the guidance counselor and the corporate recruiters. They all chose agency over permission. They became the owners, the employers, and the architects of their own environments, operating above and beyond the artificial boundaries of a standard job description. Once I saw this delineation, I couldn't unsee it. Never in my life was I ever told or taught that I was able to monetize my life any way that I was able to. It was never explained to me that to earn a wage meant sacrificing my agency to someone who would never do the same for me. This led to the riskiest, no-brainer decision of my life, to start working for profit instead of for wages. There is a massive economic difference between wages and profit. Wages are what an economic system pays you to keep you showing up to maintain their assets. Profit is the residual value generated by an asset that you own and control. When you work for wages, your efficiency is optimized to maximize someone else's equity. When you work for profit, your labor contributes directly to your own life. For the past 15 years, I've lived on the profit side of this ledger. It hasn't always been easy, and it certainly hasn't made me a millionaire, but it has brought me something money cannot replicate: complete ownership of my Tuesday mornings. For me, that's invaluable. And for almost anyone that has made the same leap in their lives, I'm sure they'd agree. Now, this was a conscious, intentional choice I made. It wasn't a necessity. In fact, when I was meeting with the banker for my first business loan, he saw my financial statements, looked me in the eyes and said, "You make more than I do. Why are you even doing this?" Now, if that isn't a telling example of how hard the system wants to protect its dirtiest little secret, I don't know what is. But with the advancement of AI and robotics threatening to automate all of the bullshit cognitive jobs that we've been promised will only ever increase with growth, millions of people are about to be pushed out of the workforce without having any other options. The middle rungs of the corporate ladder are about to disappear completely. If your entire identity, your sense of security, and your daily schedule are tied to the concept of earning a wage, this shift will feel like an absolute apocalypse. All you'll be left with is your own human agency, and let me tell you, knowing what to do with that is way harder to figure out than getting another stupid job. But if you can shift your perspective towards ownership, autonomy, and localized value creation, this era doesn't have to look like a disaster. It can look like a rebirth. It can be the moment you finally stop working for someone else and start building a life of your own design. Okay, fine, sounds great. Now, who's gonna pay my bills and feed my kids? Well, that's why we gotta tax the robots. When I look at the future, I don't see a world where we should smash the machines out of anger to save our stupid jobs. The technology itself isn't the enemy. It's the corporate system that's holding it hostage. The automated systems, the deep learning models, and the advanced robotics, these are the collective achievements of our entire species. They were trained on our history, our open source data, our art, and our language. The abundance they create belongs to humanity, not just to the balance sheets of a few big tech companies. Tax the robots is my way of summarizing the social contract we must demand. It signifies a political and cultural reality where automation is leveraged to make human labor optional, rather than using it as a weapon to force workers into economic servitude. It means that we must restructure our tax systems, our corporate models, and our social safety nets so that the productivity gains of automation are distributed back to the public that built the foundation for it. If we tax the robots, we could fund a society where survival is decoupled from employment. We can create a baseline of security that allows individuals to exit the hyper-competitive corporate world and return to their cooperative communities. It opens the door for everyone to do what I did 15 years ago, but without catastrophic financial collapse. I envision a future that allows everyone to reclaim their own agency, step off the economic treadmill, and begin working for purpose instead of pure corporate productivity. But until that systemic reality changes, we have to build our own personal solutions. We just can't wait for policy to save us. We have to start practicing what it means to be independent right now in our own homes, our own neighborhoods, and our own creative spaces. To pull off this reset for myself, I had to ground myself back into my three main structural pillars: authenticity, creativity, and curiosity. If a project doesn't align with all three of these values, it doesn't happen, period. Let's take my most recent failure on this channel as an example. Authenticity means I am done trying to look like a professional futurist that just regurgitates what others have done better than I ever could. If a script takes 2 months to write because I'm struggling to find the truth in it, then it'll be 2 months between videos, not every week. I'm just not going to compromise my content to appease the algorithm. Now, creativity means the production of these videos needs to be an act of genuine human expression, not automated assembly. That's not to say I won't use an LLM as a writing partner. I've actually found AI tools to finally access some authentic cognitive expression within myself. Prompting "help me say what I want to mean" has opened up brand new creative avenues beyond my imagination. Actually, it's been incredibly enlightening. Curiosity means we are going to look at the world with genuine inquiry, not prepackaged outrage. I want to learn more about what work really is. I want to understand how other people are redefining their value outside of their careers. I want to know what's keeping you up at night. How can I help? Further, what am I missing? This project definitely got the best of me. I bit off more than I could chew. Like most things of this nature, it looked good on paper. But it just wasn't right for me. This reset is about protecting the creative energy required to make this channel worth your time to watch and my time to produce. The corporate workforce is changing rapidly, and for many of us, if we're caught off guard, it will leave us behind completely. Let's stop fearing the loss of our bullshit jobs we never really wanted in the first place. Let's use this momentum of technological advancement as an opportunity to take back our time, fortify our lives, and figure out what we want to create when economic survival is no longer an endless competition. So thank you all for sticking with me through the false start. The experiment failed, but the mission remains exactly the same. I'm Andy Q, and I'm busy living instead of working. I'll see you next time.